Community Radio.
Let's be honest, wheelchairs are heavy, bulky, and ugly. If you carry a wheelchair in your car to take care of a loved one, you know how hard it is getting that clunky, old-style wheelchair in and out of your car. Introducing the Feather Chair Wheelchair. At 13 pounds, it's the world's lightest wheelchair. It folds in seconds and fits neatly in your trunk, backseat, or closet, so you can take it everywhere. And it's only available right here. Order yours today and get a free wheelchair case, a $50 value, yours free. The Feather Chair, the world's lightest wheelchair, is just $4.99 with easy payments as low as $16 a month. Sorry, no Medicare or insurance accepted. So call right now to order yours.
800-823-5826. 800-823-5826. 800-823-5826. That's 800-823-5826.
Wilfred Brimley for Loafing Dog.
I'm Wilfred Brimley for Loafing Dog. You know, when I get the hankering for a hot dog, I go to Cleveland, Texas. Just a couple blocks off the square, they got Loafing Dog. They got the Neely Dog, the Mary Sunshine Dog, the Casey Dog, and the Shirley Dog. Why, they even got the Pacer Dog, the Brooklyn Dog, and the Jim Dog. Can't forget the Shane Dog, or the Joy Dog, and the Monty Dog. I like that fool. The Nakia Dog and the Braxton Dog round things off. Why, they even got a kids menu too.
Loafing Dog, 208 East Chambers Street, Cleveland, Texas. Lunch, catering, or takeout, plus outdoor seating. Phone number is 817-556-1040.
This is Wilford Brimley. And don't forget, Loafing Dog won't give you diabetes.
Out-of-date carpet giving you the blues? Tired of your old dingy and broken tile? Let my friends at the Floor Store in Cleveland, Texas give your home the makeover it deserves. This is Old Taco Joe coming to you for the Floor Store. Whether it's carpet, tile, wood flooring, or real wood laminate, the Floor Store can cover all of your flooring needs. Located at 405 West Henderson Street in Cleveland, Texas, owner Brent Harris can help. Shower tile, tub surrounds, even backsplashes. Give them a call today at 817-641-9444. The Floor Store, they got you covered.
If you're trying to quit drinking or doing too many drugs, listen to me. You don't know me and we'll never meet. I had a problem like you once. I drank and used to party a little too much till it got out of control and almost ruined my life. I realized I needed help to fix my problem before it totally destroyed me. If you've tried to fix your drinking and drug problem and you know you can't do it alone, you need to call the National Treatment Advisors. They'll immerse you into a 30-day program to replace your old habits with new habits and totally change your life. And if you have PPO private health insurance, the entire program may be covered. Fix your problem right now before it gets any worse. Get clean. Call now and learn more. 877-247-1581. 877-247-1581. 877-247-1581.
When you're hungry for tender brisket or some delicious homemade cobbler, then look no further than Leach Brothers Barbecue, located at 1106 East Henderson, Cleveland, Texas. Leach Brothers has been family-owned and operated since 1950. Take it from me, Taco Joe Orwinski. Todd and his family have been filling my belly breakfast, lunch, and dinner for a long time. Heck, I even have my own booth, open Monday through Saturday, 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. Come see them for dine-in, carry-out, and all your catering needs.
You're listening to Joco Community Radio.
Hello, the Jobfather community. Welcome to the Jobfather. We have two amazing guests today, but first we want to welcome you to Joco Community Radio. Joco Community Radio is proud to be the voice of Johnson County, Texas, and is live 365 on the TuneIn Radio Network. Now, you can listen live or watch simply by going to TuneIn in joco.com to choose where and how. The Joco Community Radio app is now available as well, and it is free on Android and Apple devices. Just simply search your store. Check out our lineup and more on jococommunityradio.com. This episode and more is brought to you by Patriot Claims, making your insurance work for you. Reach out to your Texas sales rep, Nona Reed, 844-TEX-HAIL, H-A-I-L. That's 844-839-4245. All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for joining in with us this week. I am flying solo as my counterpart Foster has some exciting things going on right now. He is serving the community in Frisco this week with a number of very important initiatives that will help drive job openings here in the DFW Metroplex. So thank you, Foster, for being who you are and being on the front line for us. Today, we have James Miller as our expert. He is going to partner with me as well as Marcel Tennyson, our well-qualified, exciting job seeker. Any organization would be lucky to have Marcel. Now, today's focus is going to be on resumes and LinkedIn. This is an important topic today. We are really going to broach the critical nature of resumes and strategies behind resumes and utilizing LinkedIn for your job search, making LinkedIn work for you. Before we get started, shall we start in prayer? James, would you like to lead us?
Sure, be glad to. Please join me. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for this opportunity to share with each other. Father, we know that you have everything planned out in your divine plan, and it's just up for us to be obedient to your will. Father, we thank you for this time. We thank you for this day. We thank you for this beautiful spring weather. I know there are people out there that have needs and concerns, and we lift those concerns and needs up to you. For we ask all this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you. Well, James, being our industry expert, business professional leader, a credible individual, this is your second or third time, I think.
Yeah, it is. And I wanted to point something out. I'm really happy that this is not April 1st like the first time, because remember, I don't know if you or any of the folks that are watching remember, I had all sorts of technical difficulties. And I will tell you, I really thought that Foster was punking me.
Gosh, that would be funny. And Foster would do that.
And he would. So Foster and I have known each other for a long time, and I would not put it past him. But, so we'll leave it at that.
Well, I want to thank all of our viewers for joining in. We have a lot of special viewers today around the Texas area, as well as different parts of the U.S., North Carolina and Phoenix, Arizona. I want to thank Mez, our wonderful hype leader. She is on today. We also have a number of other individuals that are joining us and putting messages on the board. So thank you for joining. And I want to give a special shout out to GTN Technical Staffing. They are an incredible agency that staffs mainly IT, but they are so well versed, they're able to staff many different areas. We've worked with them for years, and they are joining us today. And if you're in the IT market, you need to be aligned with GTN Staffing, whether you're hiring or whether you are a job seeker. We also want to have a shout out to Sean Koski, joining us from the Chicago, Illinois area, and Michelle Armand. Thank you guys for joining and welcome. Well, James, why don't you give us a quick intro for all of our new joiners, a little about who you are and your background, before we jump into resumes and LinkedIn.
Yeah, sure. Real briefly, I am a global career expert, talent manager, and professional certified coach. Spent 30 years at a little company called IBM, and that's where I actually met Foster way back in the day when a date that neither one of us likes to admit at this point in our lives, but way back in the 80s, spent a full career there, mostly in talent management. So I've done the full host of recruiting, hiring, onboarding, you name it, that whole function of talent management. When I left IBM back in 2014, I joined the University of Texas at Dallas in their Career Management Center. And I worked with everybody from undergraduates up to graduate students on all their career profile, that sort of thing. Left there, went to Right Management, stayed 5.5 years, had a great ride there as a senior consultant. I love doing this type of work. And when the opportunity came up from Foster that said, hey, would you like to be a part of this Jobseeker Network Radio? I said, sure, that sounds great, because that's right in my wheelhouse. I lost your audio there. Maybe it's.
I can't hear you neither.
Okay.
I can hear you, James.
Okay, I can hear you also, Marcel.
Hey guys, it's Tiffany.
Yeah.
Dana popped off for a minute and popped back on. She lost her audio. Dana,
okay.
You lost your audio feed, so you're going to have to give your microphone permission again. And while Dana figures that out and practices being a mime, James, why don't you take it away?
Yeah, let me just start at the very beginning. And in the very beginning, I mean, I know the topic is resumes and LinkedIn, and I'm going to give you some concrete things to walk away with. But where I always like to start with the people that I work with, whether they're just newly minted college graduates, or they're entering the job force for the first place, or they're a C-level executive, I always start with personal brand. You hear that all the time, but you've got to be very, very clear, especially in this job market of the last couple of years and where we are in the world of
can y'all hear
media.
me?
Hey, you're back.
I'm
You're
back.
Yay.
Thank you. Okay, sorry about that.
Okay.
I had a glitch in my internet. And James, I know you just got started.
Yep.
I don't want to interrupt you. How about we focus first on the resume side of things?
Okay. Well,
as
I was
a hiring leader and as an individual that is behind the desk reviewing the resumes of individuals coming in. Let's talk about some things that we look for and some takeaways that will set people apart in this job market right now.
The number one thing, and the segue was really good. I don't know if you heard me say this or not, but the number one thing that people look at on the resume is, what are you? Who are you? We know your name. We know how to reach you. But underneath your name, what are you? Are you a project manager? Are you a public accountant? Are you a transportation safety and security manager? And I might tweak that a little bit, and we can talk about that, Marcel, here in just a moment about rather than just saying manager, why don't we say leader? Because maybe there's a higher level position in there for you. Who knows?
I have to agree with that. Leader is the best way to define yourself. And a leader is much more robust than just a manager. A leader must have a whole different set of skills to motivate and grow their team.
Exactly. That's exactly right. So I'm real big on working with people to make certain that their personal brand they are clear on, because there's nothing worse than being introduced to the hiring manager. And I've seen this happen hundreds of times in my professional life, that someone is introduced to me and I say, hi, I'm James Miller. I am a talent manager with whatever organization or whatever, because that's not just what I do. That's what I am. I'm a talent manager, or talent leader, or professional, whatever I am at the time. And then they say, hi, I'm John Doe. Good to meet you. Well, I walk away with, hey, John Doe seems like a nice guy, but I have no clue what he is, what he's all about. Yeah. All goes back to your 30-second pitch, your elevator speech, your elevator pitch, your 30-second commercial, whatever you want to call it. So your brand's got to be very clear and right there on the resume, right up at the top. Gone are the days of my professional objective is to obtain a position in a Fortune 500 company that allows for 80s. Opportunities. Yeah, I mean, that is so probably 70s anyhow.
I mean, it could broach back to the 70s.
Yeah, yes. It may even go back that far. And it worked then, but it does not work now. You have to be very clear about your personal brand. The second thing that I will tell you is, and it links with LinkedIn, is you have to have your LinkedIn profile on your page.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
That is a non-negotiable. I've worked with people who have said, I just really don't like this social media thing. And I was like, it's not so much about social media. It's about getting you the job that you want, the position that you want. The second place that a recruiter will go, and if I've got any recruiters on here, maybe they can give me a thumbs up if they agree with me. The recruiters I have always worked with that have either worked for me or when I was doing the executive recruiter function, the second place that we would always go after we screened through the resume was we went straight to LinkedIn because we wanted to see if things matched up.
That's right.
And it's just a part of your marketing package to the world. So the other thing, go ahead,
James. I want to align with you on that because I 100% agree. And I have seen circumstances where candidates submitted a resume
right
to our company, but their LinkedIn was not aligned appropriately, and there were the dates weren't aligned, the jobs weren't aligned, the titles weren't aligned. Your LinkedIn profile is truly your online brand, your online marketing, and your online resume. You must make sure your LinkedIn's dates and titles align with the resume you are sending out. That is really important, and it can be a red flag to hiring leaders.
Oh, absolutely.
With the resume, I do agree, James. In the top where you have your name, really, if you want to put city and state, great. You do not need to put an address. People don't need to Google where you live or see if you own a home or you're in an apartment. So mine reads Dana M. Gingerich, Dallas, Texas. I have my phone number, my email address, and my URL link so that someone can go straight to my LinkedIn page. And that is what needs to be at the top of your resume.
Absolutely.
Underneath, exactly what James said, should be a professional summary, no longer a 1970s, 80s-esque objective. The music was great. The movies were great. But the resumes were not great in the 70s and 80s, okay?
Right.
So,
yeah.
Let's make sure that your professional summary underneath the appropriate heading really is like your elevator pitch. It outlines why they should hire you and why you're qualified for the job. And the next section, which is the most critical section, should be your skills summary. It pulls out all the skills throughout your work history that make you qualified for the role. Your resume should reflect the role you're applying to. And the skills section is where you change it up based on where you're applying and the skills needed that align with your background. Your work history is your work history. Newest to oldest. I still, believe it or not, James, people put their oldest at the top.
Really? Wow.
Yes, I still see that from time to time.
Yeah. Huh. Well, yeah, you definitely want to have it in most current position going back.
Yes.
There have been a lot of studies done recently, and I read about these when I was at the University of Texas at Dallas. Because I had at that time when I was on staff, it was kind of cool. I was able to talk to professors without having to pay tuition or, write a paper for them or take a test.
Fabulous.
So I would just hang out in the faculty lounge and I would ask questions and I would get answers, to this sort of thing. And one of the things that they shared with me was the research that's out there today is that most people are really just interested in what you've done in the last 10 years. Certainly your most recent position, but in the last 10 years. Now, there always comes up that question as we go through the chronology, and I would be remiss if I didn't bring this up. How far back do I go? Because if I went back to the early days of my career at IBM that started in 1980 something, then
nobody heard it.
Yeah, well, so how many of us are still using or even know what a Selectric typewriter is, right? They just don't know what. Yeah, I see that. I saw that look.
I was like, what?
Yeah, what are you talking about?
Not a newbie.
Right. So my point is, they're really interested in the last 10 years. But if you have experiences that go back before, say, 2000, and You can put them on your resume. I just recommend that you put them under a heading of additional professional experience.
Yes, yes.
And then just drop the date. You don't even have to put the date on there. But the key is, are those skills, are they relevant to today and the position that you're applying for?
Exactly. Guys,
That's
I
the
have
key.
to do a special shout out with these special glasses real quick. The man, the myth, the legend, Foster Williams has joined the chat.
Oh boy.
Of serving the community. So we miss our host and the Jobfather himself. Hold on, this has a little bow on the side.
Wow.
Foster Williams, we miss you, love you. Thanks for even joining in to see us ride the wave here without you. Mez, thank you for your comments. And we have a few questions from some viewers.
Yeah, some good questions there. Yeah.
Armand said, if we need to customize a resume for every job, how do we keep that in alignment for LinkedIn? This is how. Your job history is your job history, newest to oldest. It is in your skills section where you highlight the skills necessary to the role that you're applying to, and maybe adjust the very first section, your professional summary, to align with why you would be a good fit for that role. So it's your professional summary and your skills section that change to reflect the role you're applying to. Your work history on your resume should primarily be the same as what you put in LinkedIn. And I have it mirrored almost exactly, but I go in and refresh my skills section in my professional summary from time to time. It keeps me relevant, and it makes it so that you don't have to have so many resumes.
Yeah, and the one thing that I want to add to that is the analogy that I use is that your LinkedIn profile is really your 24/7, 365 global billboard to the world. This tells the world everything that you want them to know about you. Your resume, and this ties back to the skills piece that you were just talking about, Dana. The resume is tailored. Every resume, and hear me out, every resume is tailored to the specific job opportunity that you're applying for. So you want to match the language that they're using in the job requisition that says, hey, I'm looking for this. And you want to match as closely as you can to that.
Yes.
So, and you don't have to go into great detail about that. That brings up one point that I just want to make, because I'll lose this thought if I don't share it right now. Accomplishment.
It's in your secret hiding place.
It is in my secret hiding place. I filed it away, but this is really important. And I have this conversation frequently when I work with people on their resumes. And that's this. Your accomplishment statements, or the bullet points in each of your jobs, and this is a little controversial, but don't flip. Hear me out here. Your accomplishment statements are always written in past tense, as in, what have you done? Not what you want to do or you're going to do. So it's nothing more than leading off those bullet points, those accomplishment statements, with a past tense action verb. Managed, ED. And for those of us that remember what a past tense action verb is, the definition, it's a verb, you did something, and it's in past tense, ED. I managed, I directed, so forth.
I agree, but I would like to clarify something. In your current role, unless it's a success that you accomplished, your current role should be present tense, and all past roles should be past tense. And that does make a difference, and readers do notice that. So I want to say that I also agree with that very much, James. And I'm glad you brought that up, because I was thinking about that as well. Those are some typos that can cause, can cause other resumes to be looked at. If you have your current role, your action items, start the sentences with a verb, not me, I, we, it should be, the present tense started with an action item for your core responsibilities. All successes should always be in past tense, unless you're doing the success right then. And then all previous jobs, always past tense, everything. So thank you for pointing that out. I mean, that does make a difference, and it does cause a resume to flow. Something I'd like to point out, which is so important, is, we're passionate about these things. I have been in talent acquisition for over 20 years. I've been blessed and honored to be, promoted into a position of leadership. And I will tell you that your resume, has maybe 5 to 10 seconds max in front of a decision maker before they next. Okay.
Right.
So you want to do everything you can to align with your LinkedIn profile and really advertise at the top, as James was saying, through your professional summary. This is who I am and why you want to hire me. And then, as we agreed in the skills section, here are the exact skills that make me relevant for the job. Do you know what a relief that is when recruiters don't have to spend 20 minutes reading paragraphs? And by the way, there's another good one, James. Don't put any paragraphs under your work history. Bullet points, bullet points, bullet points.
Right.
Those are always the best. We have another question from Dr. Christian Hutchison. She asks, how do I find someone to do my social media that James is talking about? Well, I will tell you, there are organizations that will help you with your social media. I happen to have an organization called Resume Key, LLC, and I charge a very low fee to help with resumes and update and align your LinkedIn. You can always contact me. My name's on the screen, dana.gingerich@gmail.com, if you would like those services. But a lot of organizations that offer resume writing services will also offer a LinkedIn package. I tend to do a much more affordable package for the network because to me, it's my way of serving and giving back. But thank you. That was a great question, Dr. Hutchison. We really appreciate that. Now, Mez has a really good point. This is super, and we only have about 4 minutes, but and we have 2 questions. So, okay, Mez wants to know if you can clearly see that the hiring manager didn't write the job description. Sometimes you have to read between the lines a little bit, but if it's an area of your expertise, that should still help you align your role. And then Sean Koski said, do you have any advice for someone entering the job market after being away for an extended period, like a stay-at-home mom? And James, this is a good topic.
It is.
I'll say that in this, if you're a stay-at-home mom, that is a full-time hard job. And there are a lot of very qualified individuals that are stay-at-home. I have one thing to say, and I want to hear what James has to say. Yeah. But right now, the market is prime for job seekers. There are not enough qualified, skilled, talented professionals in the market. There are more jobs than there are people. So it is a great time to enter the market. And for those that are a stay-at-home mom, I believe that you can build your resume to show that you were a stay-at-home, caregiver. Okay. And you can list some of the things that you did there, but you can still bring to the top in your skills section a culmination of skills that you have learned and brought together from your previous work history, the things you did managing your household with your family, as well as maybe any side jobs that you did. I also recommend there are a lot of great, cheap places to go get updated certifications like in Excel and Microsoft Office and Outlook. Doesn't matter what job you have, you need to have basic skills in Microsoft Outlook, Microsoft Office, and especially Excel. It will just help you climb the chain a little bit faster. James, what do you think?
No, I agree with you, Dana. An interesting thing happened that we saw, as we've come out of the, I'm going to go ahead and say it, as we come out of the pandemic.
Yes.
People, that are recruiters and hiring people, because of the job shortage and there's all sorts of things that they're calling now the great resignation, the great this, that, and the other. The short of it is, how do we get more people back into the labor force right now? So recruiters, I'm not going to tell you that they look the other way, but I will tell you that they are most interested in, do you have the skills to do the job that I have posted? And if you do, as you were just saying, you have a basic understanding of Excel, you have a basic understanding of Word, you were on the PTA committee at your child's school and you led the membership drive. Those are all very relevant and transferable skills. Sure. So I would not be hung up on hey, I've got this gap of where I was just, in air quotes, staying home, raising kids, because that's very valuable and important work that needs to be done. So
you can raise kids, you can handle adults in the work world, you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Work is an adult daycare. We all know this.
Right. Exactly.
Sorry, my battery's running out, so I'm unprofessionally trying to plug. Okay, yay, I'm not going to skip. Okay, team, we are going to go to radio. When we come back, we are going to be able to learn more from Marcel Tennyson, our sponsor, Jobseeker, and I'm sure we'll continue the conversation around LinkedIn and resumes, as it is just so incredibly important. And I want to say, as the music is about to come on, again, we're just going to have a quick intermission and we'll all be back. I do want to say that there are great courses. I personally use Coursera, and they bring in professors from universities like Duke and, very well-known universities, UT, all over the U.S. And they offer courses specified for $40 a month. I mean, that's great. You can put that on your resume. All right, I hear the music. We're going to go to commercial.
All right.
At Romika Designs, we're more than just a laser engraving and specialty design company. Much more. I'm Ron Phillips, co-owner of Romika Designs, and if you can dream it, we can probably make it. We can custom laser cut and engrave on nearly all material. Great for one-of-a-kind gifts, home decor, business and specialty items, or personalized and logo designs created just for you or your company. Allow us to become your go-to gift and specialty project partner. Romika Designs can help make your ideas a reality. We're ready to help you design and create that special gift for any occasion, or engrave your personal or business logo on just about any product. View our designs at romikadesigns.com or simply email us with your ideas. We specialize in custom design and would be honored to have the opportunity to discuss it with you. Call us at 817-400-4040, email info@romikadesigns.com, or visit us on the web at romikadesigns.com.
Hey, there's something you forgot to do. It sure is hot. Are you sweating like a dog? Wait, what? Dogs don't sweat. Oh no, you forgot to get your window tinted. Whether it's the kitchen window that sits in the sun for the hottest part of the day, or you just got new wheels, call Sharp Window Tinting in Burleson. 817-615-9379, or look them up on the web, sharpwindowtint.com.
Fast Track Student Loans can get your student loans out of default, stop any wage garnishments, stop collection calls, and stop seizure of your tax refund. Give yourself a break. Stop the stress and get your student loan payments down to as little as $25 a month based on what you can afford to pay. 800-709-4395, 800-709-4395, 800-709-4395, 800-709-4395.
Joco Community Radio. Listen live at tunein.com.
All right. In the words of Matthew McConaughey, we are back. Joco Community Radio. Please follow them on LinkedIn and YouTube. Please follow the Jobfather, LinkedIn, YouTube. And I believe we will have a separate Facebook page. It's being set up, but follow Joco Community Radio on Facebook as well to get all your updates on the Jobfather. All right, we are back with Marcel Tennyson, one of the incredibly talented leaders out in the, it looks like, transport space. Marcel, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you?
Yes, ma'am. Thank y'all very much for letting me be on this morning, first of all. And James, thank you for the hint, because I'm going to use it right now.
Very good.
I'm a regional safety and security leader in the transportation.
There you go. I love it.
Yes, sir. And have extensive experience in that background. I sort of like yourself, I cut my teeth with Exxon back in the day, overseeing the transportation and safety operations for them. I've done facility audits. So you go out and do facility audits on locations. as well as investigations, accidents reporting, loss prevention, well as customer been in risk management, as well as doing JSAs and FPOs, starting operations. Yes, ma'am. I've done it all. Done scheduling, and so I've really enjoyed this operation. Is something everybody can't do, but
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
So it sounds like just true operations leader. What industries do you feel most passionate about in terms of operational leadership?
Mainly the transportation and safety side of it, because you can help. Yes, you can help people succeed, as long as the company, you can also put the processes in place so they can also, save money and not at risk. The key is keeping the companies from being at risk.
Yes.
Hey, I've got a question for you, Marcel. I read a brief description of your background, that you're also in the security space as well. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, security is what you go out with, from a facility standpoint, and with all the things that's going on now. Foreign countries coming in doing strange things. You have to make sure that if you have your employees out in public or out at risk, things that they can do to make sure that they're not being vulnerable, especially if they're carrying hazardous material, which I'm very familiar with DOT and hazmat. I have a hazmat background as well, and making sure everyone is in compliance with DOT regulations. And when you're doing facility audits, you locate the police department to find out the area first, to make sure, hey, how do y'all rank this area, high, low, or medium? And then that'll tell you if your company say, hey, you might want to consider if you want to do business in that area.
Cool.
Yes, sir.
Well, I don't know where Dana went. She was here just a second ago, but I'll keep asking questions if that's okay.
Super.
Okay, cool. Well, Marcel, tell us a little bit about what when you think about how you want to be known out in this global audience that we have. What would you say are the three main things that you want the world to know about what you bring to the workplace?
I'm passionate about what I do. Very important that people succeed that's around me, because that's so important. If I can get them to buy in, then everyone will succeed from the company on down. And so that's kind of important that I gave my best and gave all that I had at that time. Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, y'all. I am having some internet difficulties, but thank you for sticking with me, and thank you, James, for jumping in there.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I always like to ask both James and Marcel a little bit about and how they found their spot. Where it's interesting how careers grow and develop and branch. And when looking at job seekers from my side of the table, and I'm sure James can talk a little bit from his side as well. There's a story behind each job seeker, and understanding how their story unfolds and understanding what makes them unique and qualified for a role, they all kind of go together. And just for the listeners out there, when recruitment or talent acquisition teams or hiring leaders such as James are looking at resumes, it's really important that we really can gauge a person's two things: soft and hard skills. Not only from the resume we get the hard skills, right? Okay, who are they? What is their career? What has their career path been? What core skills do they have to do the job? And then once we're on the phone with you, what are your passions? Do you truly want to be part of the organization I'm talking to you about? Have you done a little homework around the organization? And Marcel, you could probably give me a little, well, I actually have a question to throw to James. So James, when you're interviewing wonderful candidates like Marcel, what is it that you're looking at from the other side of the table?
Well, okay, there's a couple of things real quickly. Number one, I'm looking to see, do they have the skills to do the job? I mean, that's critical. That's like foundational stuff. So we obviously, if we're to the point where we're beyond a screening like a talent acquisition would do, and I'm doing an interview, one of the things that I want to make certain of is, hey, do they actually have the skills to do this job, whatever it is. That's when I start to ask those pesky little behavioral based interviewing questions that, we all prep for. And I'll give you a simple little formula that will save you every time when they ask you that. So some of you might not know what that is. A behavioral based interview question is, tell me about a time when you did something. That's what that is. Well, so when I'm asking that question as a hiring manager, I have that problem in my organization. And behavioral-based interviewing is based on, if you could do it there, you could do it here in my company. So the magic little formula for this is to use the STAR formula. It answers a behavioral-based question every time. And STAR stands for, tell me what the situation or task was that you worked on.
Okay.
What actions did you take?
I'm writing this down.
And what was the result? Very simple. STAR, STAR. What's the situation or task that you worked on? What actions did you take? And that's the key. Don't tell me that you worked on a team, because that may mean that you went to one of 20 meetings. And I can really trip you up in an interview on that, Marcel, if you pull that one out of your hat. And then tell me what the result, because that's what I really want to know. Can you deliver results to me? And then the last thing that I would tell you from a hiring manager's perspective, I think about how, based on what I've seen from the interview process, how do you fit in not only to the corporate or the organization culture, but how do you fit in with the existing team? Would you be a good fit, or would you be one that would, kind of stir them up? Sometimes that's what you're looking for.
Yeah.
But you look for that good, we use the term a good cultural fit. And I think that's where I'll leave that. But, we just look to see, would you be a good fit? And then personally, I like to work with people that I like. So it's very helpful if I made some kind of connection with them, whether it's a passion for baseball or whatever, that we just have something in common just right off the bat. It makes, people underestimate that. That's that soft skill side that we don't always talk much about in interviewing. And I know this isn't just about interviewing, but it is very important. And I've got some people agreeing with me here in the comments, so that's encouraging. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. And I agree as well. So Marcel, and by the way, thank you for that STAR analogy. That is phenomenal. I have to say I had not heard of the STAR analogy, so I wrote that down. But it is so true. And I think these are the types of tools and things that we can share with the listeners to help them better understand why we're asking these questions and to view the interview from the other side of the table. I think if you can go into an interview and understand not only the position they're interviewing you for, but try to get to what they truly need for the team. Because it is a combination of hard skills, meaning the criteria that makes you qualified for the job, the software that you have experience with, the certification that you might have that's required to do the job, the degree you have to be able to perform the surgery on individuals. But there's the soft skills. Who is this person? And, I'll let y'all know, we look for red flags. Is someone going to work with? Are they coachable? Do they have a good attitude? Do they seem committed? Are they a prepared, organized, outside the box thinker? Or do they constantly need to be handheld? And these things are important. And then you can tackle the interview in a way that conveys the things that most organizations need or are looking for.
Right.
So Marcel, tell us a little bit about your what you're looking for. Are you open to positions nationwide? Are you wanting to stay based in the Dallas-Fort Worth area? What types of positions and would you be looking for? And what industries would you be looking for?
Yes, ma'am. I would like to stay in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And my skills they cross training. When you start talking safety and stuff, you can do it in transportation facilities as well, because safety is safety as well as risk management and loss. It's all prevention and investigation side. I would like to work with a company that's really excited and committed to safety organization. Some say they are until the time comes.
Right.
And you have to make those adjustments because no two phone calls are the same. in that industry. So you have to be ready for constantly change, which has been my whole career that I'm used to. And that's really what excites me. People around me tell me think I'm kind of a little loony bird from time to time, but you can get two phone calls about the same thing, but it's two different outcomes,
right?
That you have to produce. Yes.
Hey, Marcel, I'll give you a little tweak on that. Instead of loony bird, just say, "Hey, I'm a wild duck." Because and here's why: because wild ducks don't get shot. So, just something to think about.
Yes, sir.
That is actually really, really good. You know, Lori, we have one of our listeners that's heard of and used the star message, Lori Williams, and that is really interesting because the star message or the star analogy, however you want to convey it. I'm really glad that you brought that up, James, because I do think that is a very important tool that will help kind of understand the psychology behind the interview. That's really important.
Absolutely.
Marcel, as you've been out there interviewing and communicating with people, do you notice an increase in or let me word it better. Have you noticed that interviewers are using more and more behavioral based questioning in their interviews?
Yes, ma'am. They are. They're trying to figure out who you are as a person, so they bring you in. And they're trying to come up with this information in a short period of time.
Yeah.
over a telephone, and so it can go either way. Some would say.
Absolutely, it really can. And the market for us, since the candidate pool is a lot tighter, and there are a lot more jobs than there are people, we don't have a lot of time. So we, on our side of the table, have had to. I think a lot of corporations and a lot of businesses have had to really intentionally streamline the interviewing processes because within a matter of 24 to 48 hours, we can lose our most qualified candidates. So in qualified James and Marcel, I would like to get your opinion on this. Doesn't always mean that you have every single skill set needed. There are core requirements that you can't go around. But qualified can mean that you do meet the core requirements. The required versus preferred things listed on the job description, but that you also have those soft skills, that approach and that attitude, and people hire people they like, which you brought up just a little bit ago, James. And I'm glad you brought that up because the way you relate to the person you're interviewing with is just as important as being able to discuss your experience as it relates to the job. So the two things that you should be focused on, and tell me what you think, James, going into an interview is, I am prepared to discuss my experience as it relates to the role that you are interviewing me for. And I am looking forward to getting to know you on the other side of the table and hopefully build some sort of a connection.
Exactly.
And people will hire, if there are 2 or 3 candidates with all similar skill sets, almost 9 times out of 10, they'll go with the one that they just felt connected best with them, maybe had the best attitude, and just seemed to be a go-getter and an outside-the-box thinker. What do you think, James?
No, I completely agree with you. I think the one thing that we always have to remember is once you start your conversation with the hiring manager, it then becomes a two-way street. So you're interviewing the hiring manager of the company as well, especially in this job market, because they know, hey, if you got that far, you're probably qualified to do the job. We just want to make sure if you're a good fit. I've got a golden rule of hiring that I've just always used, and it always seems to serve pretty well, and that's to remember that humans hire humans. We tend to think, in our minds that, well, it has to do all these things on the LinkedIn social selling index, and somebody will look at that and compare it to the logarithm of something, all this stuff behind the scenes with applicant tracking systems. But when it comes right down to it, humans hire humans. And that's to a question that you asked earlier, like, how did I get into the type of work that I do and working with the clients that I do? It was a love for understanding that humans hire humans and how to help them get hired. And so that's where my passion lied, and that's what I follow.
Oh my. That is meat right there. That is great, James. Sometimes we get so worked up about the formality of interviewing, we forget it's a human experience.
It is.
And I often try to tell people, listen, you don't know how you're going to impact that person's life today. You want to know the truth? Oh, shoot. Hey, that is our co-host, Molly Hutchison, having a little bit of a word.
All right.
Hey, James, what do you think about that application tracking system?
What do I think about them? Well, to be honest with
you, Molly Hutchison, everybody.
Oh, hi, Molly.
Yeah,
Hey,
she is our chief furry officer of all things interruption. I am so sorry. Keep going, James.
No. The brief answer is I think it's a tool, and if it's used correctly, and if the person, the hiring person, or the talent acquisition team, and Dana can weigh in on this as well, if they write the job description correctly, they can be a very helpful tool. But if people are using them, and let's face it, I'm going to be real candid here. There are some companies that just say, you have to click all these boxes or, forget it. But in this job market, I think there's a little more welcoming and leniency than there was, say, five years ago. But the one tip that I will give you, Marcel, is if it asks for something, whatever it is, because remember, an applicant tracking system is a dumb machine. It's not a human. It is a dumb machine. And somebody told it what it's looking for. If it asks you for something specific, like attach resume here, then attach resume there.
Here.
Because if
it says that attach resume here.
Right. So, I mean, that's just a critical piece to know about applicant tracking systems is that if it asks for it, give it to them. If it wants a cover letter, give them a cover letter. Will it be read by the hiring manager? Maybe not. Probably not. Actually, to be honest with you, probably not.
The recruiter will read it.
The recruiter would read it, but the hiring manager, all they're interested in is, hey, give me the resume so that I can so I can do the interview and write some notes on the margin. Exactly. And then I make my decision as to whether or not I, want to go further with this candidate. So
exactly.
Yep.
And before Molly wanted to put some advice in there, I was going to mention that you don't know how you're going to impact the person across from the table as you being the interviewer and the person across the table interviewing you that day. Always be a positive light to that person's day. The truth is, most of the time, we as talent acquisition professionals and leaders are so busy. The market is just exploding with opportunity all over. A lot of full-time remote positions where in the past they had to be positions in your area. Just a lot of opportunity. And they're so busy that honestly, I'm going to just be honest. There's probably limited to zero prep before the call. So they're probably less prepared than you are. Okay?
Oh boy.
Yeah. There's not a lot of time. Most of the time when I have interviews lined up, I have the resume. I've already looked at the resume, so I have a good idea. When I get on that call, you know what I want to know? I've already looked at the resume. I've already looked at it before the call to determine, yes, please schedule that interview for me. I want to get to know that person. So I had a phenomenal interview yesterday for a sourcing role. And this individual not only came prepared to discuss roles that he would be able to help us with, but he was so kind and he showed ways that you could think outside the box. He showed a passion for what he did, and he just made my day. He was so positive. Yeah. And we often think of it as some like artificial intelligence transaction when it is human. It is human. And guess what? That individual did not necessarily have experience in life sciences or pharma. I don't care. I'll take him over someone who does, because the attitude, the approach, and he showed how he thinks outside the box. He's like, Google's my best friend. He's like, I've been easily able to take on looking for candidates in different roles that I'm not familiar with. I don't understand something. I get it through Google, or I ask a lot of questions to the hiring leader during our call. And I'm like, wow, it's a formula,
Yeah.
Hire this guy. He's smart, he
Right.
gets it. And so we made him an offer. And so I just wanted to say, think about how you might impact the person on the other side of the table with a positive smile and just a calm demeanor and a positive energy and just a willingness to get to know them. Marcell, have you experienced anything similar to this where you felt like you were able to, just enjoy the call and just be a positive insight to someone you spoke with, even if you were the one being interviewed?
Yes, ma'am. I've hired people as well, so I know exactly what you're talking about. And it is so important to, like you said, make them feel human, but also get them relaxed. So they're in enough stress by themselves in circumstances and situations. So therefore, when you're talking to them and when they leave and they say thank you, that lets you know the interview went well, even though they didn't get the job. And so I understand what you're saying.
Yes. What do you think, James?
It's all about that human connection. It's all about that positivity, because, nobody wants to hire, Debbie Downer or Don Downer, or let's make it gender neutral, I guess.
Yeah.
You just don't want that as a part of your team. So when that comes through, and I know, Marcell, I don't know if you're experiencing that, anything outside virtual interviews or telephone or like what, Zoom or whatever. But what I'm hearing out in the market today is that more companies are starting to say, hey, come back. If you're cool with it, come back and let's do an in-person interview. That has changed in the last 6 months. Now, I'm just kind of curious if you've experienced that in your job search.
Yes, sir. They mainly just want to do Zooms.
Okay.
No one wanted to come in and phone interviews.
Yeah.
And one company sent a deal, said do a video interview and just send it back to them.
Yeah,
Yes.
the dreaded video interview, right? Where you
Well, that's how we're doing the majority of them now, is either primarily Microsoft Teams or Zoom. Some companies use GoToMeeting, but since so many positions are remote these days due to the pandemic, and we're not doing near as many in-office interviews anymore.
Right.
I mean, there's some,
right.
but I would say where 80% used to be in office, it's now 80% are video interview, and it's flipped. Right. Yes. And yeah.
I would agree, but I just wanted to ask the question because that's a trend that I have just picked up on with working with some of my clients in the last, say, month or so. They're starting to say, hey, the ABC company wants me to come in for a face-to-face. What do you think of that? I said, well, if you're cool with it, go. Why not? So why not?
So we have a question from Rex. Sorry to cut you off there, James, but no Marcell, with more and more cyber security attacks, how do you advise clients to reduce business vulnerabilities from cyber risks?
Passwords.
I can't keep up with all the passwords, y'all. Oh my gosh.
That is the key. Password, I mean, you have to constantly move it because they're doing it from everywhere. It's coming from every angle. You got all the software, web root and stuff you've used to try to prevent that stuff. But honestly, if you keep changing those passwords, it keeps them at bay.
That's very true. Do you have any tips for best practices with passwords?
Well, if you like music, it's a lot of helpful because everybody don't like the same type of music.
Okay.
And using the artist name and your favorite song.
Oh.
And maybe a year with it.
Oh, that is a genius. I'm always trying to find things to remember. I'm constantly having to change passwords. I have 2 different companies that I'm working for that's, I'm RPO working with another company. So I have 2 sets of logins, 2 sets of everything.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
Well, Jobfather family, we just want to thank you for tuning in, and we invite you to tune in every week. Our goal with this show is to serve the job seeker and to educate the market, the job seeking, the job transition, the job growthers, the people that want to not only maybe are looking for a job, but would like to transition. Tips and treasures and ideas from experts like James Miller, from Foster, myself, and different experts that we have on each week. And we love to sponsor the individuals that we know personally are excellent people of character, very qualified individuals that you would be lucky to have on your team, like Marcel Tennyson. So please keep joining us each week, and thank you for joining us today
Thank
at
you.
the Jobfather with Joco Radio. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks very much.
Good
Thank you.
weekend.
Have a good weekend.
Yeah. Thanks very much.